Good evening, and welcome to another overdue episode of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your overwrought and overvalued host, Voice of Doom. Hello. Alright, I haven't done our diatribe in a month of Sundays, and I think we all know why, because there's no need for me anymore. I have become irrelevant. I have become obsolete. There is no need for harbingers of doom anymore, and at any rate, there's too many of them now. I had my shtick. I did it for 3.5 years. And I've been right. Not every detail has been right, but I've been right. And we're reaching the point of no return, the point of the conflagration. And everybody knows it. So for me to forewarn or to pontificate is a waste of time now, because it's like forecasting the rising of the sun, which 9 times out of 10 I would get right. But one of these days the sun isn't going to rise for a lot of people. So I'll just do a recap of some of the current events and some of the Fellini-esque nonsense that we've seen, which everyone I've talked to says we're living in some sort of a weird David Lynch movie where nothing makes sense, and to try to make sense of it is a futile effort. Vis-a-vis our electoral process of a lot of people saying that they have to save democracy by doing everything undemocratically. Now, we all knew, I already talked about the petard and the hoistings. We all knew that Petrie wasn't going to make it for 4 more years. We all knew Petrie wasn't making it now. We all knew they had to get rid of Petrie. We all know they did get rid of Petrie. We all know that they wanted to get rid of Orangey. And using all the powers of the deep state, they were not able to. Again, Rasputin pulls his fat out of the fire. So this is all preternatural. It's all beyond the scope of regular living. It's existential weirdness where the universe is converging on this planet with a bunch of things happening at once where good and evil forces are vying to win. But aside from that, we all know that the money that was sent to the Biden-Harris campaign had to go to Harris, Gargoyle. They had no choice but to put Harris in place, just as I foreboded, just as I prognosticated, is that they had to let Gargoyle be the nominee because that's where all the money was. So, whether or not she would blow the whistle on everything, there's plenty of people who will blow whistles in the months to come. As things get worse and worse and worse, the rats will start to squeal. And they'll start to say how things really are. Now we're seeing how things really are. We're seeing how we haven't been ruled by a constitutional Republican government in decades. And we're heading down the wrong path of equity, of equilibrium with every other country. Bring them up a little bit and bring us down a lot to have everything be equal. And get rid of 6 billion people, which they have to do, and it's going to have to happen soon. Everything's got to happen within the next 2 or 3 months, obviously. Come on. I have to keep saying this over and over again. They're not going to allow Orangey back into office especially with Orangey having experience now and knowing more how the game is played and being able to squirm out of a lot of things, picking the right people to be on his side. It's just going to stymie their efforts. There's no time left. If Orangey is elected, he's going to clean up the cities, he's going to end all these wars, and that's not what they want. So that means they have to get this gargoyle elected. And that's where the Fellini-esque David Lynch comes in with the, it's like you're watching Eraserhead. If you've ever watched that movie, you realize it's inexplicable. You don't know what you're seeing. Try as you will to explain it as a movie, as a plot. Even the director doesn't really know what it was about. So that's what the political system is now. Gargoyle against Orangey, and neither one can be allowed to win. Well, they'd love to see Gargoyle win, but if she does, there's just going to be too many people that go, wait a minute, we can't be that stupid. I mean, we can't, as a collective, voting body, be so stupid as to elect a totally incompetent, unlikable, inexperienced, unpopular woman of color. It's just not good. You can elect all kinds of people, and I know all kinds of people who would love to see be president who are women of color. Some are real colored, like Winsome Sears, or someone like that, who I would vote for president in a minute. But we won't get into that. They've got everything on their side as far as the DEI goes. Okay, so say anything bad about her, and you're a misogynist, you're a racist. And better yet, if she doesn't say anything at all for you to criticize, then she will just be ushered into the Oval Office on the backs of the media, who tell the idiot population who doesn't know anything to vote for the first woman of color, because that would be really cool. Show how cool we are as a country, or what used to be, is finally, right near the end, right as the country is about to go over the falls, elect a woman of color as president, who has a treasure trove of experience and who is riding on the platform that she's going to do away with all the policies that she was involved with in the previous 4 years. So that's where the David Lynch comes in. That's where Eraserhead starts. It's either Orangey, who has a plethora of experience in business and negotiation and knows how to deal with these leaders, and I know how he does it too. I'll tell you this right now, and this is already on the public record, so it's nothing new, it's not a new scoop, but when Orangey says, I'll end this war before I even take the oath of office if I'm elected, he is overly confident to me. That seems a little bit cavalier. Yeah, I'll have him ended. Well, I think I figured out how he does it, and it's pretty brilliant, and I think we've seen an example of that, Saudi Arabia. But what he does is, he's in a meeting with a leader, and they start getting into a heated exchange about territorial claims and starting a war, and Orangey hands the leader a picture of his house from a satellite picture and says, don't start anything because I work from the top down. Doesn't even have to say it. It just shows him a picture of his house, and it's like, that's the perfect way to solve many geopolitical problems, isn't it? Is to take out the leaders, which Orangey did. And let's, since I'm talking, and I probably won't do another diatribe, ever again, I may as well talk about this leaders business. You know, if you watch the internet, YouTube, all the time like I do, you realize that they use all kinds of imagery to get hits. And so you'd really never know what the truth is, because this character who was blown up in Iran, this leader of the Hamas who was a guest attending the funeral, they show a laser beam coming down and hitting his house, hitting the guy's house, the guest house. And it didn't happen like that at all, from what I heard. I heard it was planted ahead of time, this bomb, and they knew he was going to be there. Inside job. But they show a picture of a laser beam coming down like they can just kill anybody from space at any time, which they probably can. But, you know, he likes to kill leaders. And now Israel is killing leaders, and the leaders are going to want to kill back. So we'll probably have World War III, and we're probably going to have pandemics. It's all through the internet that they're going to have a black swan event before the election, because they can't allow an election for the reasons I just told you. It's a choice between Orangey, who they're not going to allow, or the Gargoyle, who they'd love to allow, but the people won't believe that they did that. She's running against herself too. So the whole thing, she's annoying. I don't want to see it. And we all know it's the end if she is elected. Not that I'm a misogynist or a racist, but if she's elected, I don't see myself paying my property taxes this year. No point in it. So I'll leave it there. I just kind of wanted to catch up with some current events. I'm a microcosm, don't know anything about Max. I had a dream about him, that he was alive, and I said, now you're going to have to explain to all your friends why you're still alive, because everybody thought you were dead. And then I wake up and I realize he is dead. But I don't know anything more about that. I'm trying to get out of my depression and get a little physically more on top of things, because I'm afraid I'm going to faint while I'm driving. And I'm also afraid that I'm going to have a problem at home and nobody will know. And I will be found decaying 2 weeks later. When they say, they miss me after 2 weeks. Or something like that. I don't know. I'm just getting paranoid. I'm alone. It's kind of lonely. At least with Max, I could look forward to getting pissed at him every 2 or 3 days. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. And I'll talk more. We got the Democratic National coming up. They want to move the riots down a few miles, probably into the lower class section of town, so they can burn that area down while they're having the convention. Which is a ridiculous thing, because she never got any votes, but it's the Democrat Party's new way of, having democracy. They just choose people. And we'll see if they choose another. Yeah, I had a premonition that she was going to be ousted. And other people are saying it too on the internet. Real touts are saying that she might not be allowed to run either. They might have to yank her for some reason. So that'll be interesting to see. We'll talk later. Have a good night. Comment if you can. Missed you guys. See you later.